What if I told you that those old woks and spoons sitting forgotten in your kitchen could become the most enchanting part of your garden? Today, you'll see how everyday cookware transforms into whimsical planters, borders, and even tiny fairy tale corners. Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where creativity meets nature in ways you never imagined. This video has timestamps so you can jump to any part that inspires you, and if you have questions, just ask in the comments. Most importantly, don't just watch, try it, adapt it, and bring your own magic to life. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story and a real family. This isn't just a video. It's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just helping a creator grow, you're helping a dream stay alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. One Mosaic Wonder Wall. There's a certain magic in giving broken things a second life. At first glance, these plates, cups, and shards of glass were nothing more than forgotten pieces, waiting to be discarded. Yet here, they are reborn into a breathtaking garden wall, a mosaic that shimmers like a living painting beneath the open sky. Each fragment, whether smooth porcelain or glinting glass, has been carefully pressed into place, telling a story of patience, creativity, and love for the land. The beauty of this wall is not just in its colors but in its harmony with the garden around it. Vines climb gently across the mosaic, roses lean in to add fragrance, and vegetables thrive at its base. Tomatoes ripening beside glossy eggplants, cabbages unfolding in perfect green circles, carrots and lettuces standing in neat rows. The combination of artistry and cultivation feels almost timeless, as though one was stepping into a countryside retreat somewhere in the heart of Europe. It's simpler than it looks to create something like this. Broken plates and chipped cups that you might normally throw away can become your palette of colors. Bottles, when sliced and set into the mortar, catch the sunlight and glow like jewels. The trick is to plan small sections at a time, working patiently and letting your imagination guide the patterns, whether it's a patchwork of bold reds and blues, or delicate florals set against a backdrop of green. Even a small border or pathway lined with mosaic fragments can completely transform the feeling of a garden. What's wonderful about a project like this is its sustainability. Instead of purchasing new materials, you are giving new purpose to what's already around you. It's a celebration of imperfection, chips, cracks, and scratches all finding their place in a larger design. And as the seasons pass, the wall changes with the light, bright and playful in the morning sun, soft and glowing in the golden evening. When you walk past such a wall, there is a sense of peace. The gentle hum of bees among the lavender, the play of shadows across the vegetables, the sparkle of glass like dewdrops frozen in stone, it all feels alive. It's a reminder that gardens are not just for growing food, but for nourishing the spirit. And sometimes, the most enchanting ideas are the simplest: to see beauty in the broken, and to turn what was once waste into a sanctuary that feels like a real-life fairy tale. Two, Tire Harvest Corner. There is something beautifully unexpected about turning old, forgotten tires into thriving corners of life. Once meant for the road, these circles of rubber now carry strawberries blushing red in the sun, chili peppers that glow like little lanterns, and crisp lettuces nestled in cool soil. A simple coat of pastel paint, mint green, lavender, sunny yellow, brings them back to life, softening their rugged history and letting them shine as cheerful planters. Place them by a garden path, near grapevines, or alongside a wooden fence, and suddenly what was once waste becomes an artwork that breathes abundance. Tires are sturdy, weather-resistant, and wonderfully versatile. With just a bit of imagination, you can stack them into playful towers or half-bury them for a more natural look. In one garden, they form a colorful border where cucumbers and cabbages grow beside bold marigolds and daisies, attracting butterflies that dance in the morning sun. In another, earth-tone tires cradle pumpkins, zucchinis, and even potatoes, their vines cascading over the edges like green waterfalls. Add a small wooden bench or let ivy weave its way through the gaps, and the whole corner begins to feel like a secret hideaway in the countryside. The practical side of this idea is as charming as its beauty. Tires provide excellent insulation, keeping soil warm and moist, perfect for vegetables that crave steady conditions. They're also easy to paint and decorate, so you can choose soft pastels for a cottage-style garden, or bright patterns and florals for a more playful touch. The key is to line the inside with a bit of fabric or plastic before filling with soil, which helps retain moisture and prevents weeds from sneaking in. More than anything, projects like these remind us that abundance doesn't have to come from buying something new. Sometimes it's about looking at what's already around us, giving it a new story, and letting it carry life again. The sound of birds resting on the edge of a painted tire, the sight of butterflies hovering over eggplants and cucumbers, the smell of rosemary growing beside fresh basil, these are the small, grounding details that turn a backyard into a place of peace. And so, an old tire that once carried the weight of journeys on the road now holds the promise of harvest, beauty, and renewal. A reminder that in the garden, nothing is ever truly wasted. It is simply waiting for a chance to grow into something new. Three Velg flower thrones. There is a quiet elegance in giving strength back to what once carried speed. Old rims, once spinning on roads, are now standing still in the garden, reborn as thrones for flowers and vines. Silver and bronze glimmer softly in the light, framing roses and lavender as they bloom with grace. Morning glories curl their way upwards, reaching for the sky, while bees hover and butterflies drift lazily between blossoms. At the base, broccoli, cabbages, and chili peppers thrive, bringing both color and nourishment. This simple act of repurposing transforms metal into art, and the garden feels alive with new stories. Rims are remarkably versatile. Stacked together, they form circular frames for plants to weave through. Geraniums, sunflowers, grapevines, and even vegetables find a home within the hollow rings. Along a stone pathway, the sight of climbing vines wrapping around the rims feels both rustic and enchanting, especially with fruit trees nearby casting gentle shade. It's a reminder that what once had a purely mechanical purpose can blend effortlessly with the softness of nature when we let imagination guide us. In another corner, painted rims in earthy greens and golds cradle ivy, jasmine, and tulips that spill gracefully from their centers. Around them, potatoes, carrots, and lettuce grow steadily, showing that beauty and practicality can coexist. The trick is simple. Rims are naturally sturdy, designed to bear weight and resist weather, making them ideal as garden structures. Place a pot inside or fill the hollow with soil and compost, and suddenly you have a planter that is as strong as it is beautiful. What makes this idea so inspiring is how achievable it is. Old rims are often left behind in garages or scrapyards, waiting to rust. With a little creativity, they become sculptural features, each one unique depending on the plants you choose. Painted or left raw, polished or weathered, they hold flowers like jewels in a crown, turning your backyard into something truly extraordinary. And when you pause in such a space, hearing the hum of bees among lavender, feeling the breeze carry the scent of herbs, watching sunlight reflect across the curves of metal, you realize that even the hardest materials can find a softer life. These flower thrones stand as proof that nothing is ever finished. Everything, with care, can bloom again. Four, rustic brick and bottle border. There is something deeply comforting about the meeting of earth and glass, of weathered bricks stacked firmly and bottles shimmering like jewels. At first, it may seem unusual to pair such humble materials, yet when you see them forming a garden border, the effect is striking. Sunlight filters through the colored glass, emerald, cobalt, amber, and dances across the soil, while the red warmth of old bricks provides strength and grounding. Together, they frame the garden beds with both beauty and practicality. Within these borders, life thrives. Tomatoes ripen in clusters, cabbages unfold like green sculptures, chili peppers glow with fire. Along the edge, daisies, lavender, and wildflowers bloom, softening the hard lines of the bricks and inviting butterflies and bees. This is not just a fence, it is a canvas where light and shadow play, where the garden itself feels like a story unfolding with every season. Creating something like this does not demand perfection. Old bricks, even chipped or uneven, bring character and authenticity. Bottles that might otherwise be discarded find new purpose when turned upside down, pressed into the soil, or stacked between layers of brick. The trick is to choose colors that speak to you: green and brown for earthiness, blues for cool contrast, clear glass for sparkle. As the sun moves, the reflections change, giving your garden a living glow. There is also a practical wisdom hidden here. The bottles act as natural insulators, helping to stabilize temperature in the soil. The bricks offer sturdy support, keeping garden beds neat and defined. It's a reminder that beauty and function need not be separate. In the garden, they belong together. Imagine walking down a pathway lined with reclaimed bricks and glowing bottles at sunset. Pumpkins sprawl along the edge, cucumbers curl playfully from their vines, roses climb with grace. The air is filled with the fragrance of basil, thyme, and mint, mingling with the sweetness of ripening fruit. Birds hop along the fence, and in that moment, the garden feels less like a patch of earth and more like a fairy tale brought to life. Projects like these remind us that magic can come from the simplest things, broken, forgotten, or overlooked. With a little care, they can shine again, not as waste, but as part of a story that is both timeless and new. Five, umbrella plant canopy. Sometimes, the most ordinary objects can open doors to extraordinary beauty. Take an old umbrella, forgotten in the corner, its fabric torn or faded. In the garden, it can be reborn as a canopy of green, a playful trellis where vines climb, weave, and spill into cascades of life. With their ribs exposed, the umbrella frames stretch outward like whimsical skeletons of color, offering support for grapes, cucumbers, and beans that twist gracefully along their arms. Beneath this canopy, the soil feels cooler, the crops grow stronger, and a new kind of shade takes shape, not of cloth, but of living leaves. The magic deepens as you walk among them. Painted in cheerful hues of blue, yellow, and red, the umbrella frames rise like tiny parasols across a European cottage garden. Birds land lightly on the tops, butterflies drift in and out, and the soft buzz of bees fills the warm air. Below, rows of lettuce, cabbages, and carrots stand proud, framed by this unusual but practical shelter. There is a sense of joy here, like stepping into a fairy tale field where even broken things hold purpose and promise. Creating a canopy like this is easier than it seems. Remove the worn fabric, steady the frame in the soil, and let nature do the rest. Beans, morning glories, and climbing cucumbers quickly find their way, spiraling upward, covering the umbrella arms with shade and greenery. The higher they climb, the denser the canopy becomes, offering not only beauty but also protection for the tender vegetables below. With a little imagination, even upside-down umbrellas can form domes that glow at sunset, draped with pumpkins, vines, or jasmine blossoms. Imagine stepping into such a garden corner at dusk. Above you, grapes dangle like chandeliers, pumpkins hang with cheerful weight, and clusters of jasmine release their fragrance into the air. At your feet, strawberries and basil spread abundantly, turning the ground into a patchwork of scent and flavor. Light filters through the layers of leaves and frames, dappling everything in a golden glow. In that moment, the garden feels alive not just with plants, but with creativity, proof that when we see beyond the obvious, even the smallest forgotten objects can become part of a story worth telling. Six. Woodland crate fence. There is something deeply grounding about wood that has weathered with time. Old crates, once used to carry fruit or vegetables, and beams that might have stood in barns or fences long ago, find new purpose when brought into the garden. Stacked and arranged with care, they become a fence that is more than just a boundary, it is a living part of the garden itself. Between the slats and spaces, pots of basil, parsley, and mint thrive, while grapevines curl and weave upward, softening the wood with their green embrace. Around the base, cabbages unfurl, carrots push their way through dark soil, and potatoes nestle quietly beneath. As the evening sun filters through the trees, the whole scene glows with a rustic charm that feels both ancient and alive, as if lifted straight from a woodland fairy tale. Walk a little further, and the crates take on another personality. Some are left plain and rough, blending with the countryside, while others hold bursts of color, wildflowers tumbling freely, ivy cascading in green ribbons, lavender swaying gently in the wind. Zucchinis, eggplants, and chili peppers stretch outward in abundance, while apple and pear trees offer fruit above, creating layers of life at every height. Birds find these crates inviting too, perching on the posts or nesting in their hollows, reminding us that a garden fence can be more than human-made structure, it can be a shared home, alive with nature. And in some corners, the fence transforms entirely into a soft fairy-tale vision. Painted in pastel shades of mint green, pale blue, and cream, the crates feel like part of a storybook. Pumpkins and cucumbers curl at their feet, broccoli crowns rise with confidence, and roses climb the wood with timeless grace. Above, grapevines drape over the beams, turning the simple structure into an archway of life. As the golden evening sun bathes everything in warm light, you can almost hear the garden breathe, each crate, each plank, each bloom telling a story of renewal and quiet magic. It is a reminder that the simplest things, wood that might have been discarded, crates that once carried produce, can become something extraordinary. With a little imagination, they can be repurposed not just to frame a garden, but to nurture it, to welcome wildlife, and to turn an ordinary space into a sanctuary where practicality and beauty live side by side. Seven. Iron chain garden arch. In the heart of a garden, sometimes the most unexpected materials find a second life, turning into gateways of wonder. Imagine stepping beneath arches built from old iron chains, once heavy with grit and work, now reborn as living trellises. Grapevines curl around the links, roses weave through the gaps, and morning glories scatter their blooms like little lanterns. The sunlight strikes the metal, and instead of harshness, it shimmers, softened by leaves and flowers, transformed into something almost ethereal. Beneath your feet, a cobblestone path guides you forward, flanked by cabbages, cucumbers, and fiery chili peppers, the whole scene echoing the balance of strength and gentleness. Elsewhere, a gate of rust-kissed bicycle chains and scrap iron stands tall, its curves softened by jasmine and ivy. Tiny white blossoms spill like a lace veil across the dark metal, their fragrance carried by a breeze that rustles the lettuce and zucchinis nearby. Birds find perches along the arch's rim, while butterflies drift lazily through the air, as if they, too, have accepted this unlikely fusion of steel and bloom as part of the garden's natural rhythm. It's a reminder that even what seems unyielding can cradle life, if only given a chance. And then there's the orchard path, where pumpkins and beans spiral upward along chain arches, their weight pulling gracefully against the sky. Apple and pear trees stand sentinel nearby, their branches heavy with fruit, while below, carrots and potatoes peek out from rows of dark soil. Lavender brushes the edges of the path, its purple glow catching the golden evening light. The air hums with both practicality and poetry. A structure once meant for utility now sings in harmony with the living world. Here, creativity doesn't just decorate, it feeds, shelters, and inspires, proving that the old and forgotten can still open the door to beauty and abundance. '8. Drum Oasis Planter. The charm of turning something old and forgotten into a thriving garden never loses its magic. Imagine taking industrial oil drums, once meant only for storage, and giving them a new life as vibrant planters. A simple coat of paint, emerald green, sunflower yellow, or sky blue, instantly transforms them into bold garden features. Within these sturdy containers, vegetables grow with ease. Tomatoes climb their wooden stakes, eggplants hang heavy and glossy, and zucchinis spill over, their golden blossoms opening to the sun. Surrounding the drums, daisies and lavender sway gently, and butterflies wander through the air as if they, too, approve of this joyful transformation. Practicality blends seamlessly with beauty here. Metal drums, once considered waste, offer incredible depth for root growth, making them perfect for crops like cabbages, carrots, or even pumpkins. In one corner of a European-style backyard, you might see weathered drums lined up against a fence, each bursting with color, lush broccoli, rows of chili peppers glowing red, or herbs like basil and rosemary scenting the breeze. Birds often perch on their edges, turning the garden into a living ecosystem where every element has a role. And then there are the orchard gardens, where drums are painted in rustic terracotta or earthy green, blending into the trees around them. Pumpkins and cucumbers spill outward, carrots stretch tall and strong, and apple trees stand watch nearby. Bees hum, collecting nectar from the wildflowers that have sprung up around the base. In the golden light of afternoon, the metal glows warmly, and the scene feels both grounded and enchanting, proof that with a little creativity, even something as simple as a used oil drum can become the heart of a garden sanctuary. '9. Bamboo and Rope Vineyard. There is something timeless about bamboo, especially when it is tied together with thick rustic rope. Here, an old vineyard is reborn into a pergola where grapevines weave themselves into a canopy, their clusters of fruit hanging heavy and sweet. Beneath this handmade shade, cucumbers and chili peppers thrive, and along the edges, marigolds and daisies light up the soil like sparks of gold. The air feels soft, touched by the warmth of European sunlight filtering through layers of leaves, reminding us that beauty can grow from the simplest of recycled things. In another corner, the same humble material, bamboo poles weathered by time and braided ropes, has been shaped into a countryside pergola where pumpkins and beans spiral upward. Morning glories scatter their blooms across the posts, softening every edge with their gentle colors. At the base, potatoes, cabbages, and carrots rest in abundance, while birds weave nests between the vines. The entire space hums with life as butterflies drift lazily above, proof that a structure built by hand can nurture not just plants, but a whole ecosystem. And then there is the orchard pergola, whimsical yet strong, standing tall like a gateway into another world. Jasmine spills its fragrance across the bamboo, grapevines hang their treasures overhead, and ivy cascades gracefully down the sides. Beneath the canopy, rows of eggplants, lettuces, and strawberries grow alongside fragrant herbs like basil and rosemary. As evening light glows through the leaves, bees buzz softly, and the garden feels alive, like a sanctuary woven from earth, rope, and bamboo. If you look closely, you will see the secret this garden holds. You don't need grand materials to build a pergola. With bamboo poles, simple rope, and patience, anyone can create a vineyard-style shade that is both practical and enchanting. It gives climbing plants the support they crave, while offering us a cool place to wander and dream. Whimsical wok and spoon garden. Sometimes, the most ordinary things in our kitchens can be reborn as magical little garden corners. Imagine old woks, once sizzling with food, now resting on the soil as planters, filled with the tender green of basil, parsley, and lettuce. Strawberries tumble gently over their edges, tiny red jewels against dark iron, while spoons and forks stand upright in the soil like playful soldiers, catching the light of the sun. Bees and butterflies drift lazily above, as if drawn to this unusual but practical corner, where cooking tools have become companions of the earth. Elsewhere, a small backyard transforms into something even more whimsical. Frying pans, once forgotten, are now brimming with spinach, pak choy, and onions, their greens stretching upward in fresh abundance. Wooden cutting boards, painted with cheerful faces and symbols, serve as labels, turning the garden into a living artwork. Around the edges, forks and spoons sparkle like silver fencing, playful and practical all at once. Grapevines climb nearby, and in the warmth of European sunlight, this small patch feels alive with laughter and imagination. And then there is a truly enchanting scene. Woks grouped together like rustic clay pots, overflowing with herbs and leafy greens. Chives, mint, and lettuce spill over the rims, while strawberries peek shyly through the leaves. Above, recycled spoons and forks sway as wind chimes, ringing gently when the breeze passes, and a wooden cutting board, painted with love, stands upright as a handmade garden sign. As golden evening light bathes the scene, everything glows, practical, beautiful, and just a little magical. This idea reminds us that gardening doesn't always need fancy tools or expensive pots. With creativity, even old woks, forks, and spoons can take on new life, holding not just plants but stories of resourcefulness and joy. It is a garden that feeds both the body and the spirit, blending the warmth of home with the charm of a fairy tale. And that's the whimsical world of wok and spoon gardening, proof that even the humblest kitchenware can become something extraordinary. If you enjoyed these ideas, let me know in the comments which one you'd love to try first, or share your own creative twist. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and join our little community of dreamers and makers. Together, we can turn everyday objects into gardens full of magic. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and keep believing that beauty is always closer than it seems.